All right, Coach, you had some midweek matches, a little change of pace earlier in the week before Easter. You dominate on the road, and then the very next day you take your split, but you win game one dominantly. Just your initial reaction from the series?
Well, like you said, it was a different week playing on Wednesday, Thursday, and we already had the Wednesday game because of the weather, and then moved the Friday game or not because of the weather, just because of the schedule. And then moved the Friday game to Thursday because of the weather potential over the weekend. So, it was a different weekend, but I thought our girls handled it well, really do. We went there. That place has always just kind of been one of those places that it's hard to get excited to play and all that good stuff. And we went out and handled it well. We jumped on them early. We had a lot of hits. We scored 13 runs in game one. Which it's been a little while since we've been in the teens. So that was good. Hit some balls hard, took advantage of some mistakes. And then the same thing game two. In game two, Bree Waters was really sharp. We gave her the start. She looked good in relief down at Kingsville the previous week, so we gave her the start in game two, and she was really sharp. So very excited for her moving forward. I think she threw a 3-hitter, if I'm not mistaken. Got a lot of easy fly balls for us, and then we jumped on them, scored 10. I think we had some back-to-back doubles, if I'm not mistaken, from Grayson Collins and Taylor Haywood and Penelope Hurtado, I think, to get us going in game two. So, we hit the ball hard. We had some people who struggled the weekend before who really broke out. I know Kylie and Tatiana, I feel like, were both 4 for 4. In one of the games, and when you get your best players to hit like that, good things are probably going to happen. Turned around the next day, jumped on them again. Actually, they may have taken the lead on us in game one. I can't remember, but we scored often. We scored in nearly every inning. Had 17 runs again. Hit some balls really hard. Just good production up and down the lineup. Took advantage of some mistakes again, ran the bases well, just did a lot of things really good to get that big win. And then game 4 of the series, Cantrell pitched again, who pitched game 1, and we scored 13 runs the day before. But she's the type of pitcher that conference opponents know when she's on, she's going to be tough to beat. And she, unfortunately for us, she was on in game 4, and the day before, she left a lot of stuff right over the middle of the plate. Game 4, she was getting it up and in. She was getting it on the corners, leaving it out of the middle of the plate as much. We still hit some balls hard, but they made plays where they hadn't made them the previous 3 games. They made some big plays, and then we just hit some balls that hung up in the end of the wind, and that had a chance to get out of the ballpark, and they didn't. And we find ourselves down 3-0. We chip away, make it 3-1. We make it 3-2 in the 6th. Had opportunity, the runner on third and didn't get it done. Then in the 7th, we had a runner on third and didn't get it done. So, a big win for them, a bad loss for us in the fact that we got what we needed the day before with Tyler going to West Texas A&M and sweeping them. So that put us all right there together again at the top of the conference, the 4 teams. And so it was disappointing to lose that and lose that ground that we had made up the day before in the conference standings to try to win that championship. But, we just got to flush it, learn from it. We did have 3 days off, and now moving forward with Western New Mexico and Sul Ross.
You already jumped on my next question, but you mentioned that loss at the end of the series. Regardless, you still took 3 of 4,
yeah.
And all 4 of those games were played in just 2 days, so no rest. Something you're not really accustomed to throughout any regular season. Just what does that mean to you as a coach, and just how impressed are you with your team's ability to play at such a high level with no rest?
Well, I thought we did a good job. Softball, it's not that uncommon. They grow up all their lives playing tournaments, 6 games a weekend. We do it early in the year. So the only thing different was we traveled home. Now, the good thing is with the distance between here and Odessa, nobody's in a hotel room. So we slept in our beds. Both teams slept in their beds, on the night. They had to get up that morning and travel over here. We went to class, and so it wasn't like you're traveling 3 or 4 hours and trying to do this. It's a pretty easy trip. Appreciate all the administrators working with each other to make sure that we could get these games in without having to get into Easter weekend or rain possibilities. And, it was just Game 4 was just a well-played game. It really was. There wasn't mistakes. We didn't give them the game. They just got a few hits and then got the big hit, the big double to score 2, and then, with 2 outs, 2 strikes, our kid got another hit up the middle. To make it a 3-0 game, we kept battling. We just couldn't get the big hits that we needed.
And really, you touched on pitching as well. We talked about the offense, but some players I want to highlight. Addie Ewing now 11-0 this season, and Madison Ruiz also in one of those games pitched 4 in 3 innings with 6 strikeouts. So just what's really stood out to you most about this year's pitching rotation, not just this past week, but just throughout the season?
Well, we got depth. We've been using 3 for the most part with Ashley and those 2, but you're going to see Bree Waters a lot more down the stretch here. Taylor Haywood was kind of in that 4th spot, but she's got a little tweak in her shoulder right now, and she's our starting second baseman. So we're keeping her out of the circle for right now to see if we can heal it up and see if she's going to be available down the stretch here. But we're going to probably give her a week or 2 rest, and then before we even test it pitching wise to see what happens there, because we want her at second base. And we just had. We've got good depth, we've got versatility. We tried not to stay in a specific rhythm with, hey, she's going to be the game 1 starter, she's going to be the game 2 starter. We want all of them to be ready for all kinds of roles. First of all, we just don't want teams to be able to game plan for exactly what's going to happen based on what we do every weekend. Secondly, come playoff time, you may be thrown into any kind of role, and we want them comfortable in doing that.
And one thing I read this past week, Tatiana Trotter set a new record, most triples in ASU history, correct?
Yeah.
So just talk about her, what do you want to say to her in a shout out, and just talk about her.
That's a huge number. 17 triples is a big number in the game of softball, and to not be a slapper leadoff type kid is really big. Madison Greenwell set the record. Madison was our leadoff hitter for 4 years, a great player. Leadoff hitter on our 17-18 World Series teams, and I didn't know if anybody would ever be able to catch that number, but Tatiana, as a right-handed hitter, more of a power type kid, she just has a really good ability to keep her hands inside the ball and take the ball to that right center field gap, which that's where triples come from in the game of softball. So big, huge number. She hit it in a big situation in a 3-1 game. It wasn't like it was just a trash one that broke the record. It was a big one. She ended up scoring the next at bat to close the gap. She's just worked her tail off for it. She puts in the time. Her freshman year was a struggle. Her sophomore year, she kind of broke out, and I think she had to put up if I'm not mistaken, it was her sophomore year when she broke the single season record for triples. Had a few more last year, and then I think she's got 5 or 6 now, and we still got a month and a half or 2 months to play. So hopefully she could put that thing up there to 25 triples. That would be a great number for us. That means that we're scoring some more runs here. But proud of her, and it's a big accomplishment. But she's truly earned it. She's put in the work for it.
And final question, looking ahead, you're back home this week again. You face Western New Mexico and then Sul Ross. Just looking ahead to those matchups, what do you expect to see?
Well, Western is having a better year than they've had the last few years. I think they're right at 500, if not above. I can't remember exactly, but they're in the middle of the pack in the Lone Star, and instead of down at the bottom where they've been. So, it's an experienced group. They got a lot of returners. They've added another pitcher, so they're a team that swings it well. They're hitting over 300 as a team. They've got 50-something home runs. I think we have 30-something. So a team that is offensive. Pitching-wise now, they've been struggling a little bit. But they've had some big wins. They beat Oklahoma Christian at their place a couple weeks ago and had a really good opportunity to sweep them. Oklahoma Christian made a great diving play in the outfield in the bottom of the 7th that would have won the game. A team that we can't take lightly for sure. And then Sul Ross is playing a lot better. New coach. Again, they've added another pitcher, but they're struggling to win games, but they've had some big wins. They beat Texas Women's. I want to say they beat Cameron or somebody that was pretty good here recently. So they're playing pretty good softball here as of late. And so we can't overlook anything. We got to make sure we go out and we got them at home. Weather could be an issue, so stay up to date with the social media and Angelo.sport or AngeloSports.com for any weather changes, but schedule changes. But hopefully we can keep our normal schedule and go out and find a way to get 4 wins this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
All right,
Good luck.
thank you.
You got your good schedule.